Chapter 1. The goal is not to survive, but to thrive. Living in the 21st century is all fun and games until it's really not. Our time is the time of stress and pressure. The age of technologies and globalized society has brought challenges that were unknown to our ancestors. Managing your life and remaining happy and sane at the same time is a challenge that all of us must face nowadays. So how do we do that? Thankfully, Carey Nieuwhof has the answers. Remember, stress evolves with time and adapts to the social climate like a virus. As a result, our stress significantly differs from what people experienced in previous centuries. Most problems stem from the same root: having too much work to do, too many distractions, and too many options. This abundance makes life difficult to manage, and you might feel like there's no room to breathe. The longer you live in this state of pressure, the more damage you suffer. Sooner or later, all the stress shows itself in the form of burnout, symptoms of which are difficult to overlook. Usually, it is accompanied by general unhappiness, lack of motivation, and constant exhaustion. Over 70% of 7,500 surveyed full-time American employees have or are experiencing burnout at least on some level. Moreover, the state is so widespread that our society often considers it inevitable. But the simple truth is that you don't have to burn out. You can have the professional and domestic life you want and still feel well-rested, energized, and happy. And no, this isn't a superhuman-only recipe either. The following chapters will reveal more about stress and how to avoid it, and practice the simple but efficient method of doing your best when you're at your best to turn your life around. Doing what you're best at when you're at your best unlocks potential and freedom on a scale that shocks a lot of people who try it. It has the potential to change everything. Carey Nieuwhof. Chapter 2. Stress, the hottest trend of the decade. There's a false idea that burnout occurs when you're not doing what makes you happy. The truth is that even the ideal life you have carefully constructed can turn on you. You might have the preferred job and the dream family, but still feel stressed and tired. Usually, burnout results from the inability to correctly prioritize tasks and effectively distribute time and energy, the most valuable resources at your disposal. The unsustainable pace may take you far in your career, but it won't make you happy, and sooner or later you'll notice the damage. The constant stress tends to take a real toll on your body. It can cause chronic pain, panic attacks, headaches, and breathing difficulties. Stress can also negatively affect memory, reaction time, and sexual desire, and become a cause of various other disorders. And this is only a short list of the damage stress can do if you allow it to control our lives. While we always label stress as a negative phenomenon, it's often glorified and even rewarded in our society. If you're not feeling stressed, you may feel like you're not working enough to succeed. Stress has woven itself deeply into our lives, and we've made it the default setting. But there's nothing cool or fun about having merely to survive every day. You owe it to yourself to try and rid your life of the stress bringing you down. The good news is that you don't have to uproot your life, sell all your belongings, and go live in the forest to do this. Instead, you can keep your current life and build on it by restructuring your daily routine and creating new habits. Traditional time management isn't enough to accomplish this uneasy task. Experiences of various top performers show that you need to focus on managing 3 critical assets: time, energy, and priorities. This means using the previously mentioned method of doing what you're best at when you're at your best. In other words, working in the area you're skilled in while your energy is at its highest. Keep in mind, doing what you're best at when you're at your best is the method that will unlock your potential and give you the freedom to change your life. At this point in your life, you may feel like everything is working against you. There's always not enough time or energy. But the truth is that you control all of those things, not the other way around. Chapter 3. Breaking the negative patterns. The unsustainable pace of life is usually a result of negative patterns we fall into. And considering that all of us are creatures of habit, they can be challenging to break through if we don't have a solid plan. The most damaging patterns that may have shrouded our lives can suck us into a stress spiral, a permanent state of overwhelming exhaustion. The stress spiral is a combination of 3 major patterns. 1. Unfocused time. 2. Unleveraged energy. And 3. Hijacked priorities. Together, they have the power to throw life completely off the rails. So let's look at each of them in more detail. Unfocused time means the daily routine has no structure, resulting in always feeling like there's not enough time. Our failure to focus time comes from the fact that we treat all the hours of the day the same way, completing tasks randomly without paying attention to the clock. As a result, we may waste our most productive hours on trivial things that don't require much focus or thought. Energy is another reason that we often fail to utilize efficiently, but we can leverage it healthily and helpfully. It's no secret that our energy levels fluctuate throughout the day. Unleveraged energy results from our inability to cooperate with these levels and divide our tasks accordingly. Last, but certainly not least, are hijacked priorities. The problem of hijacked priorities stems from our inability to say no. Allowing other people to decide what and when we get done means letting them put their priorities above ours. This is a common issue for many people and one of the main factors that can pull them into the stress spiral. Though difficult to live with, these patterns are not set in stone. We can break them and substitute our stress spiral with another concept, the thrive cycle. Entering this cycle will generate the productivity we seek and gift us a sense of deep, lasting peace. To do this, we have to create 3 new patterns that will substitute the old ones. 1. Focus our time. 2. Leverage our energy. And 3. Realize our priorities. Remember, if stress consists of behavioral patterns, then so does thriving. Understanding these patterns can help us build new habits. Chapter 4. You have more time than you think. Our lives are so fast-paced and eventful that we often feel like there's not enough time. As a result, something always gets put off. Work, rest, family time, hobbies. Whatever it is that's taking the blow, you'll feel the negative impact sooner or later. The thrive cycle implies thriving in every aspect of life, not just 1 or 2. Therefore, you must find a way to fit everything necessary into the timetable. Before you learn how to do this, it's important to realize the simple truth. We are all given the same 24 hours per day. Your boss, your parents, the top earning people in your country, and you all have the same amount of time. So why do some of us manage to be productive while others cannot? It is how you use your time that can make all the difference. Time doesn't discriminate. With the 2 exceptions of the day you're born and the day you die, everyone gets exactly the same amount of time every day. Carey Nieuwhof. To fix the problem of unfocused time, you'll need something more original than traditional management. Changing the focus of time starts with a mental shift that calls on you to embrace passion and abandon balance. We often think of balanced life as the ultimate goal that will finally make us happy. But you know what? Abandoning balance as a goal is a liberating and motivating experience. In reality, a balanced life is an unreachable pipe dream, far from what it appears to be. The current concept of balance is essentially a concept of less effort, less work, and fewer commitments. But this certainly doesn't sound like the road to success. It might help to instead concentrate on the path of passion. You have a limited number of hours per day, so why not spend them on what you feel passionate about? Embracing passion means choosing to do things important to you with your whole heart and enthusiasm. However, it also means limiting the number of things you can do. Remember, people who achieve great things are passionate, not balanced. Here's a brief practical exercise that will help you at this point. Write down a list of up to 5 activities you want to make time for. Then, opposite them, write down the approximate amount of hours per week that this task will require. Keep this list in mind as we move forward. Chapter 5. Cooperate with your body instead of competing with it. Though you have the same quantity of hours as everyone else, those hours are not the same. Some are more appropriate for intellectual activities, others not so much. This has to do with energy levels that change throughout the day. You can't be productive and at your best for 8 or 10 hours per day. If you pay attention to your body and mood, you'll notice that there are no more than 5 hours throughout a day when you're truly thriving and ready to tackle any tasks thrown your way. You have to accept these limitations and treasure these 3 to 5 hours. They are your green zone and the key to being productive. Understanding and knowing your green zone will help you plan your day accordingly. The key to figuring out your green zone is tracking your mood and productivity. First, analyze your typical day. When do you feel the most productive and in high spirits? Next, pay attention to your body. You'll notice the difference between your green zone and the rest of the day. It might also be helpful to get input on this from your colleagues, friends, and family. They usually notice your highs and lows. In the daily green zone, your energy is high, your mind is sharp and focused, and it's easy to work on creative tasks that require critical thinking and imagination. Once you've figured out your green zone, think about the rest of the day. 2 more zones are hiding somewhere in there: yellow and red. The yellow zone is when your energy level is somewhere in the middle, and it is at its lowest in the red zone. These zones can be utilized just as effectively as your green zone if you use them for energy-appropriate tasks. For example, your red zone is the perfect time for exercising or chores, while the yellow zone is suitable for meetings and social events. But it's all about learning what works for you. So experiment with your zones and figure out what tasks are best for them. This is a good time to return to your list from the previous chapter and divide the tasks you've written down between your zones. Did you know about 21% of the population are night owls, 14% are morning people, and the remaining 65% are somewhere between? Chapter 6. Prioritize your priorities. Your time and energy are the most valuable resources at your disposal. And as with financial assets, making the right investments is extremely important. This means knowing when, how, and what to spend them on. We have already covered time and energy distribution. Now let's move on to the last ingredient, your priorities. Getting your priorities to work in your favor isn't an easy task. It requires defining them to yourself and defending them when others try to hijack them. The wrong things will always want your attention. It's your job to focus on the right things. Carey Nieuwhof. Every person you meet and talk to throughout the day is trying to distract you from accomplishing your priorities. Every call, text, and polite request takes you further from your plan. This natural process works both ways. All of us have individual priorities, and to accomplish many of them, we need the time and energy of other people. And while this is okay, it's essential to make sure that you prioritize your priorities and not those of other people. Here, establishing healthy boundaries can go a long way. To establish your priorities, divide all of your tasks into the following categories: urgent but not important, a random call or a knock on the door; urgent and important, close deadline, emergencies; important but not urgent, health, goals, and resolutions; neither important nor urgent, absorbing the negative news while doom scrolling or web surfing. Think about your days. How much time do you spend on things that aren't urgent or important? Keep this in mind when distributing tasks between your energy zones. Another hijacker of your priorities is your smartphone. Keeping it on you and turned on at all times creates an unimaginable amount of distractions. To maximize the effectiveness of your green zone, make sure that you are as focused as you can be. This means putting your phone in the Do Not Disturb setting and finding an optimal work environment. Remember, distracted you is your worst enemy. Therefore, we need an appropriate distraction-free environment to thrive. You don't need much to revolutionize your daily routine. It is as simple as doing what you're best at and passionate about when you're at your best, your green zone, in the best possible conditions, free of distractions. When these components come together, you'll enter your thrive cycle. Did you know? On average, people touch their phones 2,617 times throughout the day. Conclusion. If you follow the simple rules described in this summary, you'll immediately notice the changes in your life and your mindset. The Thrive Cycle allows you to lead a healthy and manageable lifestyle and creates the necessary room to breathe. Of course, the number of your responsibilities won't shrink, and you won't get more hours in your day, but because time, energy, and priorities will be working in your favor, it will certainly feel like that. Sadly, none of this means that your life will be free of stress. It'll simply become more manageable and easier to overcome. You'll build healthier connections with your friends, family, and coworkers by creating a healthy routine. As you work with time, energy, and priorities to break the old patterns of the stress spiral, you will better the quality of your life and improve your relationship. The Thrive Cycle is all about being at your best, and being at your best is less about what you accomplish and more about creating a space for you to become the best possible version of yourself. So when your life doesn't feel like it's completely falling apart around you, you'll find it much easier to make time for self-reflection and self-improvement. And it is this work that will ensure your success and peace of mind. In the end, who you're becoming is so much more important than what you're doing. It's time you stepped into the future. You're going to love the person you meet. Carey Nieuwhof. Try this. Visit Carey Nieuwhof's website, www.atyourbesttoday.com, to find all the necessary charts and templates that will aid in your journey toward the Thrive cycle. Map out your energy zones and the appropriate tasks in your calendar of choice. Fill out your calendar 1 or 2 months in advance to have a clearer picture of your plans.